My entitled mother is ruining my life. So I am sending her back to her home country. My mother needs to go. So my husband and I got married in the US in September and have been living in his house there since. As for my parents, they live in Japan, but my god-awful mother has been staying with my husband and I since the wedding. For context on the monster which is my mother, she has always been a very controlling person throughout my life. She's always had high expectations from me, very hypercritical of every aspect of my life, forced me into ballet as a child and essentially admonished me for not having the idealistic slender body of a ballerina. She tried starving me when I was young to make me slimmer in order to be a ballerina, and blamed me for years for being fat. Fat, referring to the fact that my hip structure was wide, she was literally calling me fat because of the shape of my hip bones. She would not let me play in the sun or join sports. She would not let me cut my hair. I could not hang out with friends after school. Extra tutoring, extracurriculars and strict routines. If I upset her in any way, she would smack me on the palms of my hands until they were raw. I could have a fever and be at home from school and she would still come into my room and sit on my bed to make me study. Even if I was delirious, I had to stay conscious, participate and provide the right answers. I had a rough upbringing to say the least. I've largely addressed most of these things as I've grown up and independent of her. But a few things remain as ongoing struggles. She is incredibly nosy and still tries to critique my life and all of my decisions. My husband is Japanese/American. When she first saw a photo of him she was swooning, but as soon as I told her his background, she had a problem about his race. She said such horrible things, some of which still echo in my mind today. I have a better relationship with my dad, but my dad is very submissive when it comes to my mom. My husband is the only person who can control my mom. He is very assertive and blunt. He has an intimidating aura and is unfortunately the only person who can put her in her place. To find her way around this, now my mom waits until he is out of the house to come for me. Ever since she's been living here, I feel like prey in my own home. She's been snooping around the house and did a lot of it while we were gone on our honeymoon. We have a detached garage next to the house. My husband uses the main floor garage, and upstairs he converted it into an art studio for me. My mom has gone through my studio and looked through all my journals and sketchbooks. She has gone through our closet, my clothes, my lingerie, personal items, and most recently my adult stuff drawer which my husband and I use. I basically have a drawer in our closet in which I keep all that stuff. We put a lock on it for obvious reasons. She started degrading me about it. I was so upset I was streaming with tears. It was only when I threatened to tell my husband did she admit it took her several days, but she eventually found the key. When she does these invasions of privacy, she won't admit to them, but I'll know she has seen something private of mine that she doesn't like because she will not so subtly hint her disapproval. And then she will poke me over and over again to force me to play a twisted guessing game with her. It is nauseating and painful. I feel so guilty about it, but I look forward to having space from her again. I am counting down the days. When I see other people and their closeness to their moms, I can't relate. I feel really sad about that. Tonight she was getting physical after having too much wine, while yelling at me about my decision to take a break from work. Luckily my husband came home early. I ran and got behind him for cover. She kept trying to reach around him to grab me. She was not listening to his calm voice, so he had to raise his voice on her, and that's when she stopped suddenly and just went to her room. When she acts like that I feel so anxious. I was holding my partner's shirt in my fist so tightly I didn't realize my nails were digging into his skin. I want to send her back to her home country, but I don't know if I have the patience needed to go through with that, as she will have a lot to say about it. My entitled mother is ruining my life. So I am sending her back to her home country. The last few days have been a lot. Ever since she went up to her room when my husband yelled at her for laying hands on me, she essentially went on a hunger strike, and was refusing to eat until my husband and I apologized to her. My husband's motto was basically, let the beach starve, but I couldn't do that. I had to force him to fake an apology and he did, and that's when she started eating again. She has not gotten any better though. Recently, she has been obsessed with the guest room closet. It is a large walk-in closet, as this guest room is actually the main floor master. When we put her up in this room, I had explained to my mother the reason there is shelving on only one side of this closet is because we explicitly requested this from the designer during the finishing. We wanted space to neatly store some seasonal items and sports gear. With this simple explanation, I thought the subject had been closed. Yesterday I came home from a run wearing headphones. I went upstairs to my bathroom. I was about to start my shower, but shut the water off because I kept hearing this strange drilling sound below me. When it wouldn't stop, I wrapped a towel around myself and went downstairs, calling out for my mother. There was no response. I followed the sound and ran into two men standing around in the hall area that connects to that guest room. They stared back, half smiling, half dumb boyfriend downed. I was so shocked I just froze. My mom appeared behind me, which gave me another scare and I almost screamed. She said, "Oh my God, put some clothes on, stupid girl." I was speechless, crimson and embarrassed. I got myself out of there. I finished my shower, got dressed, by which time the men had all left. I confronted my mother. Turns out that without asking me or my husband, who was conveniently away, She found these random men online, who are not even certified or work for an established company, invited him into our home, and had shelves put in. Something which I told her not to do. I tried to tell her that she can't do that, but she was laying into my verbally when I protested, playing the victim until I felt so bad for her that I apologized. I feel humiliated and disturbed at what I can only assume is a twisted power move. I have to pay for this service, because my mother claims she does not have the money, but also it is your house. She gave access to our home to people from Telegram, who could have robbed the place after she so graciously told them it is just the two of us women currently living here, but more often just me, as, in her words, my awful husband is frequently away. I have been having a hard time falling asleep at night because I'm worrying about getting robbed or worse. I live in a secluded area, on an acreage surrounded by woods. Absolutely surrounded. I can't even see my neighbors. Since my husband had warned her to keep her behavior in check, I feel like it is absolutely fair to send her back to Japan early. But I am also scared to send her because then I'll be alone, as my husband is away for work. Speaking of my husband, I contacted him and he said he will book her a first-class ticket with someone to collect her from the plane and escort her. That she will be comfortable. He wants me to stand my ground. He assures me I'll be safe. He can monitor the home from our security system, brief me on some scenarios and things like that. A part of me wants to keep her here so I won't be alone. She and I are currently not speaking to each other, her decision ironically. My entitled mother is ruining my life. So I am sending her back to her home country. I booked her the plane ticket and told her about it. To say poop went down is an understatement. So my mom's flight was at 2 a.m. I packed her belongings the night before, while she was having a migraine, also known as sipping wine and gossiping on the phone. I placed her suitcases in my vehicle. I informed her of my decision in the morning. Leading up to it, I discussed her behavior since the wedding, listing all the incidents and her lack of remorse or willingness to respect us in our home. I reminded her of the warning my husband had given her only a few days ago. And that as a result of her actions, I will be following through with his warning in his absence. She will be going home. She smiled the whole time while I was talking. I asked her mom, "Do you understand?" She said she understands that I am a weakling and a coward who is blindly carrying out my husband's bidding. She also made a point to be extra cruel by describing my husband as having dirty blood, and a few other names relating to the fact that he is part American. I clarified to her that this decision is mine. My husband is not here. She gave a rude laugh and I explained her flight information. "We'll see," she said. I don't think it hit her that this was really happening until later that evening when I started to pack up the remaining few things. She tried to fight with me to undo the packing. She slapped me many times but I continued, literally while she was slapping me. I dragged the stuff to the vehicle while the verbal and physical barrage went on. I have a few scratches from the swipes of her nails. One of them is on my face. She then tried to pull my hair as I was going up the stairs. I could have fallen backward but she didn't get a good grip of it. I shouted at her that if she doesn't stop, I will call the police. I don't care anymore. I will embarrass her by slandering her in my personal life any chance I get. I dialed 911 on my phone and showed her. She called me an insufferable beach, and also threw an SLT because somehow that's fitting. But she left me alone after that. I had a friend of my husband come and escort us to the airport. He is a stone-faced ex-Navy SEAL, so she did not try anything funny in the car. He also drove me back and it helped a lot. When he showed up things calmed down significantly because my mom behaved in a stranger's presence. Smiling curtly and everything. I tried to give her a hug at the airport and she walked away making a vague threat about how her death will be on my conscience. We never hug unless it's for photos anyway, so maybe it was too much. So, she's gone. I have an extremely bad headache today, from all the stress and tension that had built up.